Hi, Lavonda here again, and I'm all showered and refreshed. I drank some water, so I hydrated myself, and I had a post-run snack, some fat-free yogurt, always a healthy option. And now I'm ready to continue with this update on our marathon training program, solo today. But a bit of controversy has arisen here. I was set out to do 8 miles today, and that was the plan. And I'd gone on Map My Run, which is an app on the internet that allows you to trace your run to a destination and back, or you can even do a loop. You can do whatever you want. But I did a straight out and back, 4 miles out, 4 miles back. But when I come and I check my GPS here, it actually shows that, according to this, I ran 9.48 miles. So I don't know which one is accurate, the Map My Run or the GPS. But I know that I ran at least eight, and maybe somewhere between 8 and 9.5. It doesn't really matter for the most part. This is new to me, actually. It isn't, the watch isn't new to me. But I have to honestly say I normally don't have to rely on even bothering with it or focusing on it because my partner, my running partner Val, she's generally the techno person there, and she likes to track the distance and whatnot. So I let her do that, and I just show up. Usually I don't even wear it, but if I do wear it, often I don't even remember to turn it on because I let her do that. So just another deficit of running solo. I had to do my own tracking and GPS today. I'm not sure which one is accurate, but according to this, 9.48. According to Map My Run, 8. Whatever. I know I did it. And I feel pretty good. I will say that I started the run. My right calf was a little tight. It progressed up to, I guess, the hamstring area. Then it kind of disappeared. But I'm feeling pretty good. I really wanted to talk about um, running solo today. Because as I said, I started out this running business in an effort to lose weight. And I was running by myself just through my neighborhood, 2.5, 3 miles or so. And I got the notion that I wanted to do longer distances and I wanted to compete. I wanted to do a half marathon. And that's when I hooked up with Val, uh, who we knew each other through a job, and I knew that she was a running coach and very, very active in our local running club. So she helped me gear up and train for that half marathon. And from there, I just made the offhanded notion, I'd like to run a marathon by the time I turn 50. And they say speak it out into the universe. It was like, so let it be written, so let it be done. She encouraged me to go ahead and do that, and we ran the Marine Corps a couple of years ago. So we're training to do it again. Last year, we were sidelined by an injury. She had a knee injury. But we're back at it again this year since we deferred, and we entered again this year. This year we're going to do it. But there are times during the training, and we get together each Sunday to do our long runs, where I have to do that by myself. Now, the short runs by myself aren't a problem, but the long runs have become a little challenging for me. But I wanted to talk about some of the things you have to make sure that you consider when you're doing long runs, especially females and alone, okay? Any runs actually, alone. There are some concerns that you have to watch out for. Certainly want to be safe. Safe is important, which is why I showed you before I went out. I had my ID with me. I always carry my ID when I run alone, and it's beyond just a couple of miles, around my couple of blocks here, because you never know what might happen to you, especially if you're running on public streets. Sometimes motorists aren't as cautious or as alert. And there have been cases where people have been run over or hit by cars or vehicles. So everybody has to be alert, certainly the motorist. But more importantly, since it's your life and your life and limb, the runners, we have to make sure that we're watching out, especially in the neighborhood here. I have to be mindful of people pulling out of their driveways and people, how they're coming through our street here. And then out on the more public roads, like I traveled today, mindful of areas out here in the burbs. Sometimes there aren't sidewalks, and there's narrow, very narrow clearances between the side of the road and the flow of traffic. So I have to be very mindful of that. So sometimes there's a lot of crossing of streets. There's a lot of just narrow passages that you go on, but you have to be alert. And I always try to make sure I run towards traffic so that if someone is not alert, texting and driving or whatever it is that's distracting them, and they veer towards me, I could, if need, jump out of the way. Um, so in the event that I weren't able to jump out of the way or some other emergency befell me, where I was incapacitated, I always carry my ID with me to make sure that I can be identified. I went to the internet, and I went to some safety tips for running alone. So here's something important. Again, they say right at the top of the list, carry identification. Um, Mix up your workouts and your routes, especially if you run consistently alone. I used to run every single morning by myself, and I have to confess, I ran the exact same route every single time. So, which is a no-no. It means if some predator or weirdo were watching you and trying to lay in wait for you, you're an easy target because they know exactly, in a couple of minutes she'll be right by here. Let me go ahead and get prepared to grab her. So you should vary your route. You want to make sure that you're visible, especially on a day like today. It was very overcast out there. And I actually used to run at the crack of dawn, not even the crack of dawn, because it was pitch black outside in the morning when I would run. So you want to make sure you're wearing reflective or highly visible clothing so that you can be safe. And of course, one big no-no that I do, and Valerie gets me on me about this all the time. She doesn't believe in running with this. This is my iPad. But I really, I need it. I need it in order to put one foot in front of the other. The music really keeps me motivated to move. But this actually is a big no-no when it comes, especially for ladies, when you're running by yourself. So what I will do sometimes, especially if it's not well tread areas where I'm pretty isolated, or they're in a lot of foot traffic, I guess I should say, then I will just have one. Or if I'm doing it early in the morning when it is dark and my visibility is limited somewhat, I will just put one earpiece in so that I can hear someone approaching, should we say. But you don't want to be basically hampered by this, because again, if someone were going to try to do something untowards, you want to hear them, give yourself some time to react and respond. Some other things, you want to make sure that you go to areas that you're very familiar with. Like the route I did today, I actually have done before, but I never worried about distance. Again, I would just, go out the door. Okay, I'm going for a neighborhood run. Where am I going to go today? But today, since I'm in training, when you're in training, all things change, and all of a sudden you want to do certain distances so that you're building up to that marathon conditioning. But it has to be something familiar, so where can I go if I need water? Where can I go if I need help? And important for me also, where can I go if I need to go to the bathroom? and what's going on in this area? What is likely? What's the terrain? What's it likely to be like during this run? So the area should be familiar. There are some benefits to running alone. And some of them I have experienced. Certainly when I first started running, running alone was of great solace to me. I was going through a lot, and going through I guess working up to a divorce, and the running really did save my sanity because I was able to run and think and work through all of the issues and come to this final culminating decision. And even in the midst of all of the proceedings, it was a long, drawn out, difficult process. The running really did help me tremendously. So doing it alone was a benefit at that time. But the other benefits that they mention, and this is on active.com, I'm not the author of these, is that it allows you to listen to your body when you're running alone. When you're running with someone else, or especially several other people, you are trying to keep pace with them. and you're conversing also, hopefully. There's a community, which is a benefit. It keeps you going, but sometimes it prevents you from listening to your body. And your body tells you what pace you need to go. And your body tells you when it's time to stop. And your body tells you when it's time to turn it up. And your body tells you when it's time to call it quits. But with you running with other people, you kind of turn that off, which can be a benefit and a deficit. But they say running alone and listening to your body can be a benefit. Also, it allows you to disconnect, which again, I can attest to. During when I first started running and going through those difficult times, it did allow me to disconnect from sometimes from all of the crazy thoughts that were, plaguing me, and the worries and the fears, and just tune in to something other, tune into my body. In the other case, it allowed me to get into my head also and kind of work through all that stuff. It was very cathartic and therapeutic, I will say. They also say here benefits of running alone. Your run is your own, okay? Which I truly identify with. The first time I trained for the marathon, of course, I trained with Valerie, but we started off with the group in our running club, in the marathon training group. And there were some awesome people, but some incredibly fast people. I'm a penguin, I guess. If I press myself and, all is right with the universe and the stars or moons are aligned with the stars, and everything, I can probably do, a below 11-minute mile, at this point. A few years ago, I guess the best 5K I ever did, I did it in a little over 28 minutes. I never expect to do that again. But in this marathon training group, there was some incredibly fast people, and it was very taxing. I found myself, especially when we were going for the longer distances, I could pace with them for the first part of the run, but in the second half, I was killing myself just to keep somebody's booty in sight in the distance. So that was very difficult physically, and a little difficult mentally also, because I became very disheartened. And it almost made me feel like, oh, I wasn't quite good enough. What am I doing out here? Which is rare for me. Running by yourself, certainly, means that you aren't competing with anybody and you can run your own run. Okay, and you don't have to worry about whether or not you're keeping up with someone else or whether or not somebody else is slowing you down. It's all about you. So that is certainly a benefit. Which brings us to number 4, they say here. You won't compete. You're running by yourself. There's nobody to compete with except yourself. And you will become more resilient, which I think is a good thing. You need to be able to run by yourself, whether you like it or not, because if you're codependent on somebody else always, that can certainly hamper your success. So today was a lonely run, but it wasn't as horrible as I had anticipated. I did enjoy it. Like I say, there's not much to look at here in my area, but and it was rainy, I should say misty and bleak out there, but I did enjoy it. I had my tunes, okay, and I was familiar with my route, and I did the distance, at least some distance. Again, the controversy as to whether or not it was 8 or 9.5, but I feel pretty good for the most part. With the aid of some Celebrex, of course, but I feel pretty good. And next week, Miss Valerie will be back, so we'll be running together. I'm not certain what the distance is next week. She has it all planned out, she has it all planned out, our progression. But I will also be doing some midweek runs because you want to do some smaller distances throughout the week, and you also want to do some speed work, which I am incredibly adverse to. I hate the track, but I do try to do some fartlek-like workouts here in my neighborhood throughout the week, so I will be doing that. So That's it. And I apologize for, I know my eyes are all over the place because I'm trying to get used to using this webcam. But hopefully it's okay. It isn't as distracting as I'm thinking it is. So I will see you definitely next Sunday, but perhaps even before then. Who knows? Happy running.